it's me, and wrestling. So in this video I'm going to go back to a simpler time in wrestling, and I'm going to talk about a WCW pay-per-view. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with WCW, maybe you're too young. It was the big promotion next to WWF back from around WCW in the incarnation that I'm going to be talking about was around until 1991 until about 2001, so it was around for about 10 years. And this pay-per-view event is the first pay-per-view event that took place after Hulk Hogan made his huge heel turn when he turned to Hollywood Hulk Hogan with the NWO and all that stuff. It's called Hogwild, and the reason it's called Hogwild, I think, is because basically the pay-per-view takes place in Sturgis in South Dakota during the motorcycle rally. So it's outdoors. There's a lot of people with motorcycles, and they're revving their motorcycles, and they're like, "Whoa!" Yeah, that's what this is. That's what this is. So we come up and we see the announce team: Dusty Rhodes, Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan. They're all dressed like Village People rejects because remember, this is Sturgis. This is a motorcycle rally. Tony Schiavone looks like a giant baby with a little leather hat on. It's really not a good look for him. And Dusty Rhodes kind of has that Marlon Brando hat from was it not Rebel Without a Cause, but some outlaw biker movie. I forget what it is called, but it's he has this little leather hat on, and he's just he's Dusty Rhodes. So the first match we got on tap is the Cruiserweight title match, which is a match between Ultimate Dragon, which is billed as Ultimate Dragon for some reason here. I don't know why. Against Rey Mysterio Jr. It's a pretty good match. WCW had the tendency to front load their card with cruiserweights. I don't know why. I think it was just a way to they tended to be faster, more frenetic matches. And I guess it was a way to get the crowd pumped before the rest of the show. It was a pretty good match. Ultimate Dragon and Rey Mysterio seem to know each other pretty well. It starts off real slippy and slidey. There's a couple of really cool spots that the cameramen just kind of fucking miss. First, the ring is basically in this dirt pile. It's in this weird dirt ditch with people all around it with their motorcycles revving them up whoa, beer and everything. The ring is on this raised dais thing. So there's a point where Ultimate Dragon goes outside of the ring, out over the dais, and is on the dirt, basically. Mysterio goes for a springboard and jumps over the dais onto Ultimate Dragon on the dirt, which would have been a great spot if I had seen it. I didn't see it. I just saw Ultimate Dragon reacting to Mysterio going over. He's just kind of staring there oh! There's this weird thing that happens in this match where the crowd starts chanting USA, USA. And why I'm saying this is weird is because neither of these wrestlers are from America. Rey Mysterio Jr. is billed from Tijuana, Mexico, at least in this pay-per-view. And Ultimate Dragon is a Japanese wrestler. So I think they're siding. I mean, Mysterio's the face, so I think that's who they're referring to when they're chanting USA. I just was kind of guys, no, neither of them are American. Ultimate Dragon goes. There's also a couple of spots where he does obviously what is supposed to be a finishing move, and he doesn't go for the cover. And at one point, Bobby the Brain Heenan says, "You should probably cover him, amigo," in that weird condescending way, which is also funny because again, Ultimate Dragon's not Mexican. He's Japanese. So, it's a pretty back and forth match. There's a lot of high flying, a lot of all that stuff. But, Rey Mysterio Jr. wins with the top rope Hurricane Rana for the 1-2-3. Boom, boom, boom. Next match, we got Scott Norton versus Ice Train. I don't know who Ice Train is. Apparently they were tag team partners, if the announced team story is to be believed. This match kind of sucked because Scott Norton comes out, and then Ice Train comes out, and Ice Train has like his shoulder taped up, so he had some kind of kayfabe injury and is still going to go wrestle in this match. It starts off really slow compared to the first one, and the like taping that Ice Train has on his shoulder actually like gets in the way of him doing moves. I mean, he powers through it, but it's still obviously like a hindrance to him wrestling, which kind of sucked. I mean, eventually, there's not much to say about this. Only that like. Basically, what happens is Scott Norton gets him in an armbar with the bad shoulder, and the referee basically just calls the match. So he wins. Scott Norton wins, almost by way of DQ. I don't even know how to call it because it's definitely not a clean win. Next up, we have the women's match: Macado with Sonny Ono versus Medusa, and this match was bad. It was bad. Macado is a good wrestler. Medusa is not a good wrestler. She did kind of pull off a halfway decent match here. But the thing about this match that was really bad was the finish, because it didn't make any fucking sense. But basically happens is Macado goes for a suplex, like a German suplex, has Medusa in a pin, or that's how it seems anyway. The referee goes for the count, 1, 2, 3, gets a 3 count, but like just a cunt hair away from the 3, Medusa kind of puts her shoulder up, and therefore Bull loses because her shoulders were down. WCW has a lot of this kind of shit happens from time to time, like weird pinning predicaments that you're just like, wait, weren't they the pinner, not the pinnee? Why are they losing? Even if Medusa did kick out, why is Macado the one losing? So at this point, the winner of the match gets to destroy the other person's motorcycle because Sturgis, and they came out. Actually, Macado didn't come out on a motorcycle. Sonny Ono came out on a motorcycle. Macado just walked to the ring. Then Medusa came out on a motorcycle looking absolutely terrified, just like, oh god, no! Like, she obviously had very little experience with actually riding motorcycles. So basically, at the end of the match, since Medusa won, she had the pleasure of destroying Macado's motorcycle with a sledgehammer, which was really hard to watch because Medusa is like kind of like a prototypical Sable kind of female wrestler who doesn't look like she has a lot on her body to be able to help her lift things. So it's her just kind of just nailing this bike with a sledgehammer, which no-sells her sledgehammers. She just like pulls off like a piece of it and throws it in the crowd, and they're like, yay! And then she kind of just kicks the motorcycle over, and that's it. Bad match. Bad resolution. Didn't understand what the fuck was going on. Match 4, Dean Malenko versus Chris Benoit with Elizabeth and Woman. This match was the best match ever. This match was so good. It's probably the best WCW match I've ever seen in my life. That's how good this match was. They wrestle back and forth for a full 20 minutes. They go to the time limit. They wrestle to a draw. Then they go into 5-minute overtime and wrestle more. Then they wrestle to a draw again. And then they go into a third 5-minute overtime in which Benoit wins with distraction. This match was so fucking good. It went on for a while, and I was invested like the whole time. Very difficult to do. I know it's like bad form to even mention Benoit anymore, but Jesus Christ, could that guy wrestle? And I saw him do like the flying headbutt. He did a flying headbutt. Well, this one looked kind of nasty. It looked like he smacked his face right in Dean Malenko's chest, and he like popped off and was like, duh. Like every time he does it, he always has to look. I don't know if it's him selling the the hit, like the impact, or if it's actually just him going like, fuck, why do I do this? Because it looks so painful. It's just submission locks going back and forth. Benoit actually gets Malenko in a lion tamer at one point, which was great. The whole match was fantastic. It was just a great match. Then you have match 5, World Tag Team title match, with Steiner Brothers versus Harlem Heat, who are the champions. And let me tell you something. The heat that Harlem Heat, no pun intended, generated from the crowd was uncomfortable. I don't know if they were supposed to be heels, if they were coming into this heels, but the Steiner Brothers were the obvious faces, and Harlem Heat was just getting shit on by the crowd. There's just this moment where you're watching it, and it's Stevie Ray and Booker T, and they're like looking out the crowd, like, and you just cuts to the crowd, and there's just 20 or 30 white bearded bikers just like bah, bah, like giving them this and like all this shit, and you're just like, this is awkward. This heat is awkward. I mean, like, it wasn't even like heel heat. It was like they were like, I don't know. It just didn't look good. There wasn't good vibes from this match. Since Booker T and Steve Ray come out with Colonel Parker and Sherry, and Sherry's at ringside like doing her yelling heel stuff, and Rick Steiner, midway through the match, like just looks at her and just shouts as plain as day. You can hear it picked up on the camera mics. He's just like, "Shut up, bitch," which gets a huge pop from the crowd. This match was super awkward. I hated it from just like an atmosphere standpoint. The wrestling was pretty good, but just like, I mean, Stevie Ray and Booker T looked like they were reluctant to like start the match because the crowd reaction was so visceral and just like, bah! Like nobody liked them, and they were just like, oh my god, what is this? It's like all white crowd, all scraggly looking biker types. It was just awkward. The 6th match, U.S. title match, Eddie Guerrero versus Ric Flair. I mean, I'm a fan of Flair no matter what. I like the match. Guerrero was great in it as well. It's the first time that I think I've ever seen Ric Flair actually win with the figure 4 leg lock. Because I've had this like idea in my head that like maybe he just never wins with that. It's just something he's really good at doing, but he never pulls it off. But he does in this match, although he does it with the help of Woman, who he just kind of like, he has the leg lock locked in, and then he just holds on to like, first he holds on to the rope, and then he holds on to Woman, and somehow her pulling her like this is supposed to apply more pressure on the leg lock. Don't ask me why or how. It just does. But you get all the classic Flair like spots in here. You get the face flop. You get him trying to go off the top rope only to be thrown down. Him going like, oh no, like on his knees, like, oh, like doing all the like chicken shit heel stuff that just makes Flair. And he wins and retains the title. Which is pretty weird for WCW at this point in the game, because he's going to be starting a job like hardcore like pretty soon, I think. Match 7, Outsiders versus Sting and Luger. This match kind of sucked. There are a couple of okay parts of it, but again, the finish is really bad. What happens is, at some point Sting gets Nash outside of the ring and locks him in the Scorpion Deathlock on the outside of the ring. And Luger is trying to get Scott Hall into the torture rack. And it doesn't look like it should be that big of a deal for him to do. But for some reason, he just can't do it. Like, has him like, meh, 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 and he just can't do it. And then he finally does get him up a little bit for like 2 seconds on his shoulders. And the referee, Neil Patrick, gets like hit in the eye or something. He's like, oh, yeah, he's like selling the eye thing. And then then the referee stumbles and shoulder blocks the back of Lex Luger's knee out from under him. And Lex Luger goes down, and Scott Hall covers him 1, 2, 3. And it's just like, first of all, it was supposed to look like an accident, and it didn't. What it looked like was Patrick selling the eye, and then, like, actually scouting like this, like, oh, is he here? Is he in the right position? There it is. Okay, good. And then, like, just launches himself, like, launches his shoulder right into Lex Luger's knee, and then Luger goes down, and then Hall pins him. Another problem with this is that Lex Luger got pinned with a knee block. Like a chop block to the knee. That's what put him away. Which is a little ridiculous. Like, no one... Like, I saw it happening, and I was like, first of all, storyline-wise, Nick Patrick is supposed to have done this by accident. Okay? So, it wouldn't have been, like, a forceful chop block to the knee, as one would expect in a match. And second of all, no one goes down to that move. No one gets pinned by that move. So from a storytelling aspect, it's just shitty. Like everything about it was not convincing or believable at all, or in the least, which is what made it suck so hard. And I believe it's revealed later in the storyline that Nick Patrick works with the NWO, and that was all just this, that was just a double cross. But it's just the way that it was presented in that particular instance did not impress me at all, and it kind of was a crap finish to an otherwise okay match. It wasn't like it didn't blow the roof off the place, but it was okay because there was no roof, so you can't blow a roof off of a place where there's no roof. Perhaps the biggest problem with the pay-per-view. The biggest problem with the pay-per-view is that the main event is Hulk Hogan versus the Giant for the World Heavyweight Championship, which the Giant has. This is the thing. The Giant, at this point, is the Big Show. He's Big Show today. Back then, he was the Giant. The Giant is not a good wrestler at this point. He's been in the business for, like, maybe a year and a half, and he's still greener than baby shit. And it's just like the whole... First of all, Hogan is heel now. He's Hollywood Hogan, so he's like chicken shit heel. Half this match is spent with him just like outside the ring going like, oh, taking the powder for like half the match. And then when they do get in the ring and actually start wrestling, it's like rest hold after rest hold after rest hold after rest hold. And it's just fucking mind-numbing. Like, it was like maybe an 8-minute match, and I could have swore it went on for a hell of a lot longer than that. Also, Hogan's supposed to be the heel. In this instance, he walks out to the ring and gets a massive pop. Like, people are still like Hulkamaniacs, obviously. There's some holdouts, and they all came to this fucking event. And then the Giant, who's supposed to be the face, comes out to his Dungeon of Doom music, which is like this like really downbeat, like kind of like almost horror track or whatever. And then they wrestle, and I don't even know if the Giant is like able to actually wrestle a match at this point. He does like a body slam, he does a big boot, and he does choke slams. That's about it. Also, the finish again sucked. What you got was the Outsiders, Hall and Nash coming out. They get choke slammed, but Hogan has fucking Jimmy Hart's fucking megaphone while Giant's busy choke slamming Nash, and then Giant turns around and then Hogan hits him with the fucking horn. 1, 2, 3, done. New champion, Hollywood Hogan. They spray NWO on the belt. Fucking Ed Leslie, the fucking Brutus the Barber Beefcake comes out with a birthday cake for Hogan, and then you're just like, wow. Now you remember why fucking WCW sucked. Because every WCW main event, almost every WCW main event since they acquired Hogan has been Hogan versus some other person, and it's just so shitty. Like Hogan matches by this point. Now he's a heel, so he has almost a responsibility to try and waste your time by taking like fucking 20-minute powders, and acting like he's about to leave the match before it even starts, and it's just like, wow, you somehow figured out how to do less work for your giant paycheck, you bald motherfucker. But yeah, that was Hogwild, and Hog sucked, except for Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit.